up, y'all? This is your girl, Dizzy, and welcome to the new episode of What You Got to Say. Of course, I've got my crazy co-host with me today. What's up, Miss Kela?
Hey, y'all.
What's up, Miss Cool Candice?
What's up, y'all? Time to chop it up.
What's up, Mr. Cabana Blaq?
I'm definitely going to be that dude today.
All right. And unfortunately, we're missing our boy Tyrone Gregory today. He is out sick. However, he will pick him back up on the next episode. We have a special guest in the house with us today that is here specifically for the topic that we're going to discuss today. So, of course, the hot topic if over this past week, past month, past 400 years has been police brutality and racism. The ties, the effects, what we're seeing happening, and a whole hell of a lot of what we're not seeing happening. We wanted to come from a different angle because I am sure that your timelines, your email, your news, and other podcasts have been saturated with this subject, especially since the death of George Floyd. However, we wanted to come from a different aspect, not just talking about the issue, but also discussing solutions and ways that maybe we can help fight, fix, or not this problem. And the other point of view that we wanted to come from is actually from law enforcement to answer questions for us that maybe are not so clear or are very clear, and just kind of get that second, third confirmation that, yeah, that's what it is, or yeah, that's what's going on. So this is my homie. I don't know what we gonna call him. Police, Mr. Police, Mr. Police. It's gonna be his name today. But he is a 16-year experience military police officer. Works in military as well as civilian sectors. So he's gonna give us some input that we need to kind of, I don't know, confirm, deny, and assist us with ways that maybe we can help. So what's up, Mr. Police?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here. I guess, does anybody want to start off? Because I know everybody has so much on their heart right now that they want to say, that they feel. What the hell? That's, yeah.
What the
anybody.
heck? One thing I do want to say is, do not believe everything that you're seeing through the media's eyes when they say that fires are being burned, that vandalism is happening, because I was present at a protest yesterday in Los Angeles, and that wasn't the case. I was actually seeing with my own eyes who the real people were who were spray painting buildings. Some businesses are being spray painted over, which is terrible, but it was not a Black Lives Matter protester that was doing it. And so I just want to say that not everything that is being communicated, that, it's not Black Lives Matter, it's not, the peaceful protesters.
Okay.
I agree with that. I've seen a few videos, and I've talked to some of my friends that did go to the different protests in their cities, around the country respectively. And they were saying that they were seeing a lot of the Antifa folks, and there were a lot of, white supremacist people, and some were even undercover cops that, were in full cover, so to speak, and they were vandalizing businesses. I saw one video where there was a guy that was downtown in his city, and there was a pallet of bricks in the front of the courthouse. And he said, I had jury duty just a little while ago, and those bricks were not there, and there's no construction going on right now. So why is this whole pallet of bricks just randomly sitting in the middle of downtown area in the front of the courthouse where we're supposed to be protesting at? So he was like, y'all don't believe everything that you see, don't believe everything that you hear. Like, y'all be smarter than this, be smarter than them, because at this point they're trying to set you up.
There was a bus on one of these blocks yesterday, and we walked up on it, and the police were probably 20 to 30 feet away with their batons, facing some other protesters, very aggressively. But the bus was being vandalized, it was being spray painted over by the same people that I saw doing it on the businesses. And it was like, okay, where did this bus driver go? How did this bus get here? Where, like, who did he just abandon his bus? When I knew that an hour ago we were peacefully protesting and they were letting cars through, even though there were tens of thousands of people on the streets, they were still letting cars pass. Where did this random ass bus come from?
Right.
Like, I didn't understand that. So,
Right. Cabana?
I'm ready to ask questions
Okay.
because I feel like, one of the biggest things for me is, we have seen this time and time again, and a lot of times you'll have a representative of the police chief come up and speak, but you never really get to hear the cops. You never get hear their feelings and their sides of it, and right now, it's very overwhelming and it's very frightening for a lot of people, but I'm always looking for ways to seek about balance because balance is my thing, you know what I mean? And for me, the first question I have is, what is the most misconstrued things about a police officer, that he can like break down? Because a lot of things that I feel like in this discussion maybe can help us to look at the cops as not the enemy. Because even someone like myself, whom I feel is well-rounded, I look at cops as the enemy now. I have a fear in my heart. I walk very hesitant, and I don't want that anymore, but it's there. So if, that could be my first question.
You want to respond?
Yeah, I can respond to that. One of the biggest misconception is that they're all out to get you. That's not the truth. Many police officers I talked to dealt with, sometimes situations happen where they make poor judgment. That is one of the biggest things that I see. Some police officers I know very well, personally, off-duty wise, and it cools a fan. But then when they got put in that tough situation, they got to make a split-second decision. And that decision that they made was sometimes is wrong. Not everybody's going to come out with the right decision at the end of the day. Another misconception about police officers is that they don't care. You have a lot of good cops out there, Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, and that's just the truth. But on the dark side, and while we having this discussion, is you do have racist cops behind the badge, and like legal is not what you know, it's what you can prove. They are out there, and I'm sorry you feel that way because I feel the same way you do. I have 3 sons. One of them is 6'1". He's taller than me. I'm 6 foot. So when he walks out that door, of course I educate him on the process of what to do in type of situations. His first thing to do is you call me ASAP. If you with people, you get somebody to start recording. I sat him down. I brought up the website of what laws he should know in the state of Virginia or state of Maryland or state of Wyoming, whatever we live at. It's real sad that majority of not just Black males, it's Black people in general doesn't like the cops, and I understand why. Because of what the foundation. Once you set the foundation, it's hard to come back from that. It really is.
Could we say, I mean, and this has kind of been a retort that I've used online pretty much, not just now in this situation, but every time one of these situations happen, is that, the first uproar is everybody's pissed at the cops and, F these pigs and everybody's corrupt and all that. And I always say, you kind of got to put the brakes on that because, and the reason I say that is, to me, saying that is just like us accepting that for someone white to say all Black people are bad because they saw one Black person do something to them. Or for us to say all white people are bad because we saw a racist encounter happen. And, you know, and I think that both of those statements are unfair to make. So there's really, it's very difficult for me to jump on that bandwagon with the cops ain't shit. I cannot agree with that. What I will say is I agree with you. There's a lot of there's bad apples in the bunch, and not all of our other, you know, professions require when we make a mistake that somebody pulls out a camera. I've never had somebody record a mistake that I've made, you know, whether it ended in death or not. I've never had anyone record mistakes that I've made all the time, you know. But with cops, it's like the minute something gets ready to go left, people feel required to record. And I would do the same, but I'm not going to sit there and just let it keep happening either. Because I do know that if my dad is not by cops, but if anyone in my family is killed and or hurt, if anyone in my family is raped, if my car gets stolen, if my house gets broken into, I'm calling the cops. We don't run around with the F the cops narrative when some shit happens and we need them.
Yeah, it's almost like because you, like you said, because you need them, in that particular instance, that's when you call, that's why you call. But it's crazy because, like how the police was saying, a cop can have a bad day, or you know, he can, you know, exercise bad judgment in that particular instance, but we don't get the same opportunity. So it's kind of hard to look at it on both sides, because whereas that cop may exercise bad judgment in that particular instant that he was a part of, that bad judgment may cost someone their life.
True. Bad
judgment that I may, you know, exercise in one instance may get me arrested, or, you know, may get me taken to jail, or, you know, cost me my job. But it's like, I can't really explain it, but it's hard to look at it the same way. It's like, we know all cops aren't bad. We know this. We know there are a lot of good cops out there. But I know some. You know some. We also know all Black people aren't bad. We also know all white people aren't bad. But those bad apples that are in there damn near ruin it for the rest of them. So they always say, like, oh, don't let one bad apple, you know, spoil the whole bunch. Okay, cool. I understand you're saying that, but look at where we are right now. Your one bad apple ruined everything else. Your one bad apple ruined this man's family. He's gone.
Repeated bad apple.
Right. With
bad apple.
Along with countless other lives that have been taken unjustly, who were unarmed, who weren't doing anything illegal. So it's like,
I know.
How are we here? How are we still here in 2020? We should not still be going through this, the same things that, you know, so many of our ancestors went through, or some of the things that our parents went through when they were in school trying to segregate their schools because they were all white, or things that our grandparents went through just because they wanted to be able to ride the bus and not have to walk all the way to the back. Like, why are we still having to look over our shoulders because, oh, I walked by in the store and there's a pandemic outside and I got a mask on, but you don't feel comfortable, so you want me to lower my mask so you can see me? Hey, I'm not a threat. No, I'm not doing that shit. No. They tell you, don't touch your face, don't touch your nose, don't touch your mouth, but you want me to purposely touch the outside of my mask and lower it, possibly inhale whatever it is that's floating around outside, and I'm supposed to be okay with that? It's like so many levels to this, and this shit is old, like, and we are tired.
Agreed.
I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. I'm glad a lot more people, I'm glad we have more allies now, because everything is being recorded, because these things have been happening for the past 100, 200, however many so years. The difference is it's being recorded. racism didn't go away. It's just now being recorded so everyone can see it on social media and on the news. And it's out there in the forefront because it can be recorded. How many cold cases were closed because nobody knew what happened? It wasn't recorded. How many
I agree with
were because it was recorded?
Yeah. Not because.
Go ahead, police. I was getting ready to ask you to respond.
You said a couple of key things that I totally agree with you on, and I can answer some of them in my professional opinion. The whole mask thing about, you know, the pandemic and lowering your mask to see if you're not a threat. You have to understand from a cop point of view or just law enforcement that these are vulnerability to start doing crime without being seen. Everybody have a mask on. You don't know who's who and what's what. Depending on where you're patrolling at, you know, crime over in, you know, Silicon Valley may be different than, you know, I'll use my city, the west side of Baltimore, right? So when you're in these certain type of areas, and the only difference between a cop and a criminal is the decision that they make. That is it, in my professional opinion. There's a very thin line of being a cop and being a criminal. So to answer that question about the whole mask thing, I did understand that to a certain degree about wearing the mask so we can see that you're not a threat. Now, the problem that I have is that now you're targeting just a certain race, and that's the problem that I have. Even as a black, as a police officer, you're not addressing white males or Asian males or Jewish males the same way as you're approaching black men.
Right.
And I educate my white officers on that all the time about, you know, you have to be very unbiased in your that badge makes you unbiased. I don't care how you feel. I don't care about your personal feelings. I don't care about none of that. When you took that oath and you got that badge, you said that you're going to protect people, you're going to serve, you'll lock the bad guys up and so forth, right? Granted, you may not like the individual. There was times where I helped people where I personally didn't like them, but they needed help. My personal feelings is not going to go in front of that badge. Two, when you're talking about police officers and having a bad day, that's why I say it has to be looked at the shift leader, the guy who's making those rosters. You know where you putting them where. In a unit, and I can argue this to the day I put the badge down. In a cop unit or a precinct, you know who's who and what's what. You know Johnny Bravo from night shift just as much as you know Johnny Bravo on day shift. Word gets around real quick. The way how they aggressively target black individuals, not just males. I'm talking about just black people in general, and me being a black officer, that does not sit well with me at all. The personal side, I'm very angry. You know, I want to go out there and just, act out and want to be heard. The logic side of me is, don't forget the oath that I took, and don't forget that I, took that badge to help people, right? But I'm seeing my brothers killed on national TV like it's an execution. The tactics that he did on that individual, on George, is not taught nowhere in the academies. Let me educate you guys about the use of force, right? The use of force model is something that police officers, military and civilian, knows about. It is like a structured pyramid where that arrow can go up and down real quick. Okay, we'll take you for Cabana. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right, let's take you for instance. Let's say, I don't know, we're at Buckrow Beach and there's a big music festival and you get into an argument with another musician and things got out of hand. Some punches was thrown, you know, assault, right?
Right.
So when we arrive on the scene, and you know, of course, we break you guys apart, we're already coming to a somewhat hostile situation because punches was thrown, you know, feelings is flared up, all that testosterone, right? Things can break out real quick because punches can easily turn into guns being drawn. Correct? That's safe to say?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, once I get you and I'm talking to you and I'm doing an interview, based off your body language, based off your tone, things of that nature, if you're, let's say, you know, of course you're upset. My job is trying to control the situations as much as I can. That's when that verbal judo come into effect, right? Now, you're hearing this from another Black police officer where I'm not prejudging you. That's the problem with a lot of these officers. They're prejudging. They're coming in full force, not giving a fuck, and just straight, hey, I'm annihilating anything and everybody who gets in the way. Now we get back to George. My Black guys have to understand, my brothers in arms. Once you are arrested and those handcuffs go on, once I say I'm about to arrest you for something, whatever I say goes from there. The problem that I see with a lot of brothers, if I tell you, put your hands behind your back, thumbs up, palms out, interlock your fingers, and you don't do that, that's resisting arrest. Now that's resisting arrest passive. Okay, because you're not throwing punches, you're not running away, you're not being active yet, right? It can escalate. So once I get the handcuffs on you, now you're in my custody. This is where I have the problem with the George incident. You have 4 officers and 1 subject, 6'4", 270 pounds. Got it. I understand. 2 or 3 people. Okay, cool. But as I watched the video, he never tried to shrug away from them. He never tried to resist arrest. He was actually being very calm about it due to the nature of how they was being very aggressive with him. The problem that I can't get out of my head is once you got him on the ground, on his stomach, and his arms behind his back, handcuffs is on him, you have all the advantage and he has none. There was no reason to put his knee into his neck for 8 minutes with his hands in his pocket. What tactic is that? Nothing. Another problem I had was the officer standing over him. As we call in the military, we call it overwatch, right? Because you're overwatching because anybody can run up behind you, things of that nature. You know, you have to control this, the scene as much as you can. So that overwatch failed miserably. If you watch the film with no noise and you turn the volume all the way down, you have to look at the body language between the 2 officers. And this is where it makes me very angry. The officer with his knee on his neck as he's showing superiority over, and he's enjoying it. The overwatch, he knew he was wrong. Look at his shoulders, look at his body language. Look how many times he looked over to the officer as he put his knee on his neck. I want y'all to go back and watch the video and put on me. I know it's gonna be hard to do it. I watched it several times. It's hard to watch. But when you watch it again with no sound, you'll see his body language to know that officer was wrong. But since it's his officers, he's gonna back him up. Another problem with that video is
why is it that a person, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is it that when we see these types of things happening, when we see this stuff happening in video, why doesn't the police officer step in and say, hey, that isn't the right thing to do right now? Like, he is saying he can't breathe. We got him on the ground. Why isn't there somebody to regulate that and to make sure that things are happening properly? Not that if something is improper is happening, that they wait to reprimand it when they get back to the station, or if that even happens, I'm not sure. Why can't they do it in the moment?
Like, just say calm down or something.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've been in a few situations as that, and then I'll answer your question.
Mhm.
In that incident with George, all of them was completely wrong. Poor judgment. You knew what was wrong, you saw it was wrong, and you did not act on it. That officer, that Overwatch, is just as guilty as the guy putting his knee into his neck. I can't tell you why they didn't do that. Because, you know, the go-to is always saying lack of training or lack of judgment. In my professional opinion, I can't answer that question. I can only go what I see in the video where the guy that put the knee on his neck, he was enjoying it.
Yeah.
He was getting.
Let me ask you a question. Can I ask this question then?
Go ahead.
Because this is the point for me is there a code? Because see, the questions that I'm asking today are
Yeah.
like, is the police, when you go on there, you're good, you want to be an officer, great, but then you find out, is it a code? Is it that you're protecting and serving the police? Or are you really protecting and serving the people?
Yeah.
Because to me, evil is evil, hate is hate, right is right, wrong is wrong. And every time that I see certain things, I know that there are good cops, but I feel like there's this code of conduct to protect even when evil is being done. To commit murder,
I can answer
I
that.
don't see it as a positive thing. So, say it again.
I can answer that question for you, Cabana. The sad reality is there is a code. There is a code amongst the officers. Okay, you're going to back that officer up, right, wrong, or indifferent. I've seen it. It is what it is. It's sad to say, but that's how the world we live in. I have personally jacked other officers up for doing the wrong thing. When we was apprehending someone, I felt that his tactics was overly aggressive because of how the African-American individual was talking to him. Okay, cool. He called you a couple of words. He called you a female dog. So what? So now you mad. Now you wanna get extra aggressive with him. I mean, I got it. Okay, he's being aggressive, but it's three of us out here. We can subdue him real quick. Once we got him in handcuffs and we got him to the police car, I told that police officer, come see me ASAP. I got in his behind real bad. I use a lot of choice words I shouldn't have in that profession, but in that moment, I didn't see just the son. I saw, you know, my brother, my son, a nephew, you know, something that triggered, you know, something in me because I am a black man at the end of the day. And he was a white officer. And when we got back to the unit, you know, I did run up the chain of command because I can't have guys like that around me. Now, did I get a bad rap for it with other people? Yeah, I did. Did I care? No. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a racist.
Right.
I respect all people. Why can't you do the same? And if you can't do the same, you can't work with me.
Yeah.
Period.
So can I, with Cabana asking that question, you know, I talked about this with some people the other day, is that, you know, I think I figured that cops have a code. Watch my back, you watch my back, I watch your back, so on and so forth. But then on the flip, our culture does as well.
Mm-hmm.
Our culture does as well. We are the birthplace of don't snitch, stop snitching, don't tell. So we see people in our own communities, and I'm not saying we like the cops, but we see people in our own communities. Our people are being shot, killed, raped, drugged, etc. And then when the cops come in to try to do the protect and serve and address these things, we don't want to talk. We don't want to say nothing. I mean, I want to say we, because me, I'm telling, shoot somebody right next to me. This dude right there, he shot this girl right here, come get him. But that's the way I am. I'm telling. If you my peoples, I might tell a little slower. I'll be like, get your ass out the country. Something. But our culture is like that. So I don't, other than the cases of excessiveness, such as murder, you know what I'm saying? I think that that is definitely a place where you need to open your mouth and say, bruh, get your knee off his neck. I saw another video earlier today, white guy being arrested by 2 cops. Cop pulled him to the ground. He was handcuffed, put his knee on his neck. The other cop was sitting on the other side of him, and the other cop just took a minute, grabbed his boy's knee, and pulled it to the back, to the guy's back. Like, bruh, get your knee off this boy's neck. And then they finished their arrest and kept it moving. And I'm like, all it would have taken was one of those 3 cops.
That's the sad part.
To pull his knee off, and there's a chance that he would still be living. And none of them did anything.
Mahogany.
Mm-hmm.
This is what gets my goat about that.
It's 2 o'clock.
The charge that the charge that they respond to did not warrant that.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, this is what killed. This is what I get in a lot of art, and I'll tell you a little bit behind the scenes when I'm talking to other officers and even commanders. This is where I get a little heated. The charge that you guys responded to did not need that excessive force. Didn't have a gun, no knife, no weapon, right?
Right.
Yet you manhandle him as he just killed several people in a convenience store. You approached him as if he was fighting other police officers off. They manhandled him as if he was a menace to society. How can you justify that? And this is me talking not only as an officer, me talking as a person, a human being. Because we get the call and we respond accordingly. If you watch the video again, the first set of officers handled him as accordingly. They sat him down, had him in handcuffs, put him in the vehicle. Okay, cool. Not a problem. What are we talking about? Then when you go forward into the video, that one officer changed the whole scene of events after that. All it takes is one officer. One. With that type of...
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't know their relationship with each other, things of that, but it felt like they followed suit off his whole demeanor towards him.
As if he was in charge or something.
Yes, and that's the part that's that's mind-boggling when I'm watching this. It's like, you're talking about 8 minutes. You mean to tell me you had to keep your knee on his neck for 8 minutes?
You could have left him in that car for 8 minutes.
That's the part that killed.
Go in the car and shut the door.
I had to tell. It's mind-boggling because you cannot give me no scenario. You cannot give me no explanation. For 8 minutes, you have a knee on his neck when he's already handcuffed to the ground. So I want you guys to understand this for a second, okay? Who's ever been handcuffed?
Voluntarily or?
It doesn't matter.
I'm just playing.
I
had to get people to smile just a little bit.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that because I don't know. I can't remember the last time.
Okay.
And this,
I've been handcuffed.
Okay.
This is really triggering a lot of stuff for me. Yes, I have.
So when you're handcuffed,
That's right now.
you literally can't do anything with your hands. Okay. and even your shoulders, because your shoulders, your hands behind your back, you're putting your body into a position that is not naturally stated to do.
Right.
Okay. Once them handcuffs goes on, he was already at a disadvantage. And I keep going back to that to let you guys understand that. I've been handcuffed several times for training purposes. I even had officers put the cuffs on the wrong way. I mean, because it's training. I had officers put the cuffs on too tight. I lift weights a lot. So when I put my hands behind my back, my shoulders hurt.
Right.
So as I'm in the prone position, as the same way as George was, none of my officers try to put their knee on my neck. Now they try to place their hand on my neck to try to get me to stop moving. Once I stopped moving, they took their hands off. I am complying to your wishes now, or your commands. So we say, calm down, relax, and you do that, then guess what we supposed to do? As I told you, those arrows go up and down.
Right.
We go based off your demeanor. So if you're cool, calm, collective, okay, cool. Hey, you know, you broke the law. We're going to have to do our job. I'm doing my job. I arrested you. Move on. You got your time in court.
So how
But
are
it's
they?
like,
How,
I'm sorry.
how are they? How are the police policed? I guess that's what my next question is. I'm sorry, Cabana, to jump on top of you.
Right, that's okay.
And I'm trying to come from a place of understanding. Y'all know that I play devil's advocate for everything, just so I can understand both sides. But the part that that's pissing me off about all of it is there's no oversight. There are so many loopholes that can happen. I get the sliding scale of to meet aggression and release aggression. I got that. I that makes sense. That's similar to a mama. You don't always get a spanking. Once you calm down, you might just get popped in the mouth. But you know what I'm saying? It's levels to this. Like I said, the other show, there's levels to that. So I got that. We know let's say step one, we know the law. All right, we did something wrong and we know this sliding scale. Who, where, why, how polices to ensure that this training is actually taking place in the field? Because even if it wasn't executed correctly, there's a code that won't tell on them anyway.
Well, you do have, as we call it, QC or investigations, internal review, things like that. That does happen, military wise. I've seen a lot of officers got their badges taken away based off of poor decisions and tactics, the way how they handle people with a certain situation. Now, I've seen a lot of dirty politics and things of that side too, on the civilian side, because you have to really understand the dynamics of this. You have politicians that plays a part in this, and I'm giving you guys a little information on this. That's why I say you have to know the law. There's going to be a lot of money involved in this too. A lot of money. Because I heard y'all say about, and I totally agree with that. It wasn't the Black individuals, torching buildings and spray painting things. And this is business one-on-one. I'm a struggling business owner right now because of the coronavirus, and this just happened. This is a strictly opportunity to get some insurance money for, burning my business up. There's a lot of insurance fraud out there. I mean, that's just the nature of business one-on-one. This is the opportunist part, but to answer your question, there is internal reviews on officers. Now, do some of them go well? Yes. Do some of them go south? Yes. Do I agree with some of them? No. That's just the nature of the beast. In the civilian world, is there a politician that plays a part in this? Yes. Is there because of manpower issues? Yes. based on why we're having this Zoom meeting, in my professional opinion, they should be charged with murder. Not third degree, not second, first degree murder.
The intent.
Yeah.
Looking
But
at
you know,
I'm looking at
can I say this? Because for me, as a Black man, like I am going through so many emotions right now, trying to hold myself together not to cry. But because I understand the balance of good and evil, but right now, talking to you, I realize there's nothing to police the police, period. There's nothing in place to really police the police, period. And I'm all for protesting, and anybody knows me, I don't believe that we should destroy anything in our neighborhoods, and I know that people out here, but where there is greed, where there is ego and money, you will never have justice. Because that is the problem with justice, when greed and ego get involved. And now it seems to me that the police is nothing more than an academy for politics.
There's a lot
You
of,
know, they used to get mad at the Panthers. Say it again.
I was saying that there's a lot of money, you know, they get a lot, you know, sometimes a large piece of that budget that, you know, the city has, so.
Right. It's crazy that they should have that kind of access. And then we get mad at the Panthers, but the Panthers, they were doing their job. They were helping the community. They were helping us. And we have to change the dynamics of how we give people jobs. And I keep thinking about this analogy: police, pastor, another P word. Pastors, I believe, are supposed to get money, but when you give someone that is a person for the people millions of dollars, they lose the focus of their job. Yeah. You give people authority to be God in the street like cops, they lose focus of their job. And I think that that's the problem. You know, when you go to a regular place like Chick-fil-A or any other one, you have a boss that leads you and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. All I see is excuses. And these excuses are making me tired, because they're not actually really excuses. They're just rhetoric to keep the behavior going, because it's always a certain time. June, Black History Month, Black Music Month. All of a sudden now it's a cops. Election, shooting of people again. It's just always something that seems to set up against us, because they don't want us to prosper. And I'm really starting to try to figure out, how do I balance that? Because I'm a person that is definitely not a racist and definitely want to help people. But listening to an actual cop,
oh man.
Oh. I have a question. It was kind of piggybacking on what Cabana was saying, like with policing the police, but it's like, how do some cops, the few or the many that are out there, the good cops, the ones that, you know, are doing, you know, what they're supposed to be doing, the ones that are, you know, helping out in the community, and you know, they're reaching out and making a difference in their area. You know, how can you seriously call yourself a good cop when you literally just stood there and you watched one of your comrades do something completely illegal, something that y'all were not trained on doing, or something that, you know, that would get you fired? Like, check him. Like, I'm gonna check one of my friends. If me and my husband are in public and he does something and I don't think it's the right, I'm not gonna blast him out in front of everybody, but it in a not necessarily loving way, because it's your coworker, but in a way, you know, you kind of pull him to the side, or, you know, tap him on the shoulder or something and be like, hey, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that, or, oh, come on, reel it back in a little bit, something like. Right. How can y'all, not necessarily you, but how can police officers reassure the public that, hey, we are here to help you, even though we got some screwed up people over here that are doing messed up stuff. You know, we're still here for y'all, and we're gonna check them, and you know, you're gonna get a conviction because what they did was illegal. So that lets you know the system is working. Like, how are we as civilians supposed to feel comfortable with officers coming into an already hostile situation to not escalate it and make it worse? And then, you know, even with the military aspect. So I know a lot of times when, you know, guys will they'll get called on the carpet and they got to go talk to the commander because, all right, your first line is going to be right here. Your first sergeant is going to be there too, because all of y'all about to get hemmed up because you've been fucking up. Everybody in the line of succession is supposed to get some. But at the same time, it's like, okay, do y'all have like a sensing session where everybody just kind of comes together and is like, all right, lay it out on the table? Who got issues with who, and how are we going to solve this? Like, how are we going to work through this and move forward? Because there are instances that are happening like this.
Because I heard 3 questions, so I'm gonna take my time with each one. Just bear with me on this.
I'm excited. Sorry.
Oh no,
it's okay.
One, I totally agree with you on that, because it's times I've been in the units or I work with civilian police officers. I'm like, how in the hell you have a badge on? How is this happening? Who has not checked you? Matter of fact, who is your supervisor? We need to have this discussion now. And you got those ones that just seek through the goddamn crack, and it's frustrating because you're seeing it, and it's kind of like, you know, even with police officers, the hands are tied. Because you know they're a grimy cop, but how can you prove it? Because they may have a supervisor and a supervisor that's looking out for them.
Right.
Some legacy, you know, where, you know, they had their fathers or grandfathers cops, and, you know, that last name hold a little bit of weight depending on what community you live in. You know, I lived in big cities and I lived in small towns. I can tell you from a town point of view, that last name was holding more weight than any other average cop because they've been legacy in. So they kind of get bull crap that most good officers don't agree with. And when you're trying to do the right thing, they look at you as bucking the system. And they have a way of dealing with cops that bucks the system, where you're on a patrol where nobody wants to be with you, or you're on a sorry post where don't nobody want to see you. It's hard to advance in your career. Some of them have families. So what are you willing to give up for the greater good? Are you gonna let your family suffer because of an inner self-righteous about yourself when you're trying to promote and provide for your family, but you can't now because you feel as though, you know, you bucked the system too many times? I've seen that. I even went through it myself. 2, I'm from the west side of Baltimore. This is the only time I ever seen this happen, where the cops and quote unquote the thugs or the dope boys, you know, they had that dialogue. There was an understanding. Okay, we understand y'all here to do y'all job, but what you're not going to do in our community is make Grandma Sarah scared to come outside. You're not going to harass Jamal too, because he may look like a dope boy, but he's not. So you had to have some type of dialogue, because criminals are going to be criminals. Cops are going to be. That's just the way how it is. Now, can there be a common sense of respect? Yes. They have to achieve that through dialogue. And I think a lot of higher ups, this is not going to be no beat cop to make that happen either. You're talking about brass. Yeah. You're talking about captains and the colonels. They're going to come and sit down and break bread with these, you know, if you want to say criminals, and have a line of understanding. Some of them feel like they're above them and they shouldn't have to sit down and break bread with them or have a certain type of dialogue. That's where you're wrong, because at the end of the day, criminals are going to be criminals, cops are going to be cops. Because if that's the case, then you wouldn't need cops, because everybody's doing the right thing. It doesn't happen that way. But I do feel as though they can have a dialogue, because even in war, I've been in war, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan 4 times. There's times where I even sat down and broke bread with warlords where there was an understanding. There was a line of respect.
Rules of engagement.
You don't cross that line. I don't cross this line. I make sure my soldiers don't do this, and you make sure your people don't do that. Do we have an understanding?
Right.
Dialogue. Dialogue, when we always say communication rule the nation, I teach that a lot of my classes to my fellow officers. Communication rule the nation. If you cannot talk or have some type of dialogue or be relatable, okay? You have to be relatable to all people, not just African Americans. I preach that a lot in my training sessions when we talk about verbal judo and dealing with certain situations, or, you know, breaking up assaults or domestics and things of that nature. You have to be able to be somewhat of relatable to the person. I'm not saying you have to like what they do, but have some type of understanding. Like, okay, I got it, no problem, but you still broke the law and I have to do my job. That doesn't mean I have to kill you, or put my knee on your neck for 8 minutes, or punch you repeatedly when you're not fighting back, or with a stick, or tase you so many times. Because when I tase somebody, that taser lasts for 5 seconds. Wow. So you mean that I cannot control you within those 5 seconds? Now, there's a caveat to that, because drugs can alter the body, and I can tase you, and the drugs that's in your body can counteract that tase, and you can still do what you do. I got that. I understand. But when you're talking about overall the excessive force on just one, I can't, that is going to be a long dialogue. Even we're going to be dead and gone after this.
Yeah.
Our children are going to be going through this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mahogany.
I was thinking that when you were saying about the captains have to come to the table, that it is a top-down situation. You know, being a beat cop, or, you know, somebody on a desk, somebody that doesn't have the power to change the rules, you know, and set precedents for how the department is going to run. They can only do the day-to-day tasks that the people up top, you know, say they need to do. And so that's where the change needs to come. And do you know where any, like, should we start at the neighborhood, go to the neighborhood council meetings, so that we can then start hearing where, you know, what's going on with law enforcement? Is that what, like, civilians like ourselves,
Yes.
do you think
you hit it right on the head, because I was going to get to that part for the third one. Whatever area that I move to, I make myself a part of the neighborhood committee. This is where you have to be very concerned about who's your city councilman. Okay, everybody worried about the president. Don't worry about him. He's going to be who he's going to be. Y'all already know who he is. Move on. Treat him like a bad date. Okay.
It's a long day.
Right. It's a long day.
Get me out. Get me out.
It's a terrible date.
Like, somebody call me.
So when you had 3 drinks, just praying for that DJ to hit the lights on. Okay. Just
right.
Bear with it. But understand the state and the city and county that you live in. That's what you need to understand first. Okay. Know who you're voting for. 2, know who your city councilman is. 3, know who your education councils are, your administrators. A lot of people forget that the education department, a lot of the times, because they're dealing strictly with politics, education plays a part too. Okay. The better education that you have, the less crime that you have. There's a lot of statistics out there on that. Okay. They have to be involved in that too. Start to get to know who your police officers are in your area. Okay. I'm talking about last name and badge.
How would we do that?
Go to your local precinct.
Okay.
Find out who your local councilman is, and know when these meetings are. And you like, okay, look, I live in this community. Who's the officers that you know, they won't give you everything, but they can point you in the right direction. And you can have somewhat of awareness of who's who in your neighborhood. Because it's just the nature of the beast on that when it comes to trying to police the police.
Right.
when you're trying to police the councilman or the mayor and things of that nature. That's why politics plays a huge part in this. Find out who the captain of the precinct is, and see if he's she's showing up to these meetings, and try to bridge the gap. If they're not doing programs like the typical DARE, drugs and other outreach programs and things of that nature in your community, that you should start raising your eyebrow up. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember what police officers are there for, to protect and serve. We're actually supposed to be here for the people in the community. So know your laws in your state. 2, find out who your city councilman is. 3, find out who the captain is of that precinct. 4, find out when these meetings are, these town hall meetings. If you want to have 3 or 4 people, want to start a group up, I would suggest going to those city council meetings and presenting point of view and options to, as we say, leadership. So you can voice your concerns. Cabana, if you can hear me, as Black men,
Yes.
we have to understand that when we're dealing with police officers, we within ourselves have to stay calm. And as I told my commander before, yes, I am a military police officer inside this installation when I go out to these wars and things of that nature. But when I leave that gate, I am another Black man that is fearful from, because I like hoodies.
Yep.
I like to wear my do-rag and my baseball cap. I like my sunglasses. I like my grills. I have many tattoos. Yes, I love my sisters. Right. I have sons that's very active in the community, that plays basketball, football, sports. I use coaching as my way to bridge the gap with the young youth, the African-American males, or just, because I don't like saying African-American all the time, Black males, and the police officers. A lot of police officers, I have stopped many instances of young Black males going to jail or getting locked up because I knew the officer, because I coached their kid. That's my small way of helping out as much as I can. There's times where, police officers have felt a certain way about certain kids, or try to break up a basketball game because they feel like it's too many Blacks on the court and I'm out there. And I give them a look, and they press on because they know me and they know what I'm about and they know what I stand for. That's my small little way of trying to help out as much as I can. But Cabana, as Black men, we have to stay calm when we are dealing with police officers. Even though inside we're fearful or rageful, we have to be smarter than them. And yes, I'm being honest with you. When I deal with civilian police officers, for one, I know exactly how they're going to approach me. I know if it's a traffic stop, I know their hand is going to be placed on their weapon for a reason. And it's not to shoot at me, it's to protect them because they don't know me. Okay, because police officers are going to the unknown. Okay, when you're approaching a vehicle, it's very scary on the other side. I promise you that. Whether you're innocent or not, we don't know. When you're dealing with police officers, be very straightforward, but keep your answers short. Okay, I'm gonna answer your question. I see your hand up too. Another thing, Cabana, body language. If I've dealt with police officers where they didn't know that I was a military police, so I'm just a straight, regular guy. My body language, comes off as intimidating. So what I do to try to, de-escalate that, and yes, if people want to call it like being afraid or cowering down, you can call it that all you want to, but I'm being smarter right now than them, because if they decide to act froggy, it will be on them and not on me. Right. Okay, you don't want to push that. You don't want to push that button. There's times where I check police officers many a time, like, hey, what are you doing? Okay, and then when I start hitting them with their own information, because I know it, then they get the dumb look, they get the frustrated look, and I'm like, what do you want? Am I being arrested? If I'm not being arrested, what do you want? You have the right to talk to them. Okay? Now, if you're being arrested and they say, I am arresting you, well, that's where it changed the game. You're being arrested now. Don't resist it. Once you start resisting, then those so-called, aggressive tactics come out. And I don't want to see another, Black man being treated as what we saw on TV the other day, especially if I know the person. Are you going to run into racist cops, Cabana? Yes. Are you going to deal with Black? Are you going to run?
Have to be cops. You're going to run into racist people, period.
Are you going to run into some bad Black cops? Yes, you are. Okay, it's not just, bad white cops. You got some bad Black cops too. Remain calm. Keep your answers short and straight to the point.
So what do we do, not to Kela to cut to your thing, but for me, the one thing is I'm active in the community. I have a great relationship with the cops. I talk to a lot of people. I am very bold about my Blackness, but I'm also bold about a bridge. I always said, build a bridge instead of building a ditch. But what I hear this one thing and it's bothering me, and me and Kela are like twins. I know she wants to agree with me. It bothers me that I have to manipulate my personality as a person, not just a Black person, but as a person of a certain color to adjust to the agenda of the hatred that people have for us. And I'm so perplexed because I'm like, what is it? What is it about me that makes you so upset? And I'm gonna tell you something. I saw a picture of a little boy and he was surrounded by.
God damn it.
He was definitely saying.
Well, you gonna have to use your phone on this one.
Yeah, he might have to call in.
I saw the killer hand go. Oh, so I wanted to hear from you, ma'am.
I know Kela can finish his statement because
I was all up in his thing, so now I done lost track. Here, give me back.
About
I got it. Okay, so what he's trying to figure out is, what is it about African American, Black women, men, children that make it? I can't even ask it because I don't agree with that. But he wants to know what makes Black Americans, Black African Americans. What is it about us that makes the cops so scared?
No,
it's not cops.
I think what he was trying to say is we have to, when we get ourselves in these situations, he's giving us good information on how to get home, how to stay alive, how to stay safe. I think what he was trying to get across is we have to contort, we have to bend our bodies and our personalities. And when we're coming up on, against a police officer, to make them feel comfortable,
right.
Even if they are the aggressors, even if it's a situation where you're just sitting in your car, you ask me to get the license out of my, glove compartment to show you that I legally carry this gun, and then you fire fire into the car. And so I want to, I think that's what he's saying. No matter what we do, it's going to be. And so my question is, as a police officer, yes, you are afraid when you are, get in every situation because you don't know what's going on. But how can we stop all of these interactions between the police and the public? Because maybe that's what needs to happen, is that we don't need to have so many interactions with the police for every single thing that happens. Maybe it's you have to file a police report for this fraud that you think just happened. Right. Everything gets the police called and gets you, puts the police in danger, puts the civilian in danger, because now we have to interact with each other and tell our own sides. And if you come in there with a bias already against my Black skin, then we're in a situation automatically, whether either of us wanted it to happen or not.
I totally
Are
agree
we
with
talking
that.
about all cops? Or are we just talking about the cops that have a problem with our color? Because I don't want us to, I want to make sure we're not making it like every time I've been pulled over by a cop, or every time I've encountered a cop, it's been an issue, because it hasn't.
No,
but,
what I'm saying is,
right.
what I'm
But when it is uncomfortable, when it is some shit, what question are we trying to answer? Because we have a lot of cops that don't fuck with us.
No.
Right.
What I'm saying is the system, the interaction between two people who are coming from opposing sides, and one has the power. The police has the power.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, as a system, why can't we take some of those interactions that we have to have with the police and put them somewhere else? Make them non-police interactive problems. Like in Germany, they have the flash. So now you're not having to pull people over. That's one less interaction you may have with a cop. That is one less interaction that can go bad. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that cops are going to do that, but that just the amount of interactions will then, lower the rate of things happening.
Can I be honest, Keelan? Can I be honest with everybody? And this is my professional opinion.
Yes.
The system is flawed.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken. It's too much corruption. What we're asking for is not impossible. It's going to take some time. It's going to take the right people to fix what you and everybody on this Zoom meeting is talking about. Because the question that you just asked me was the topic I was having with my wife yesterday. It sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't even answer that question, because this is a system where there's so many loopholes and so many corruptions, and our race is being targeted. It's just I want to be very, very honest on this one. Okay, Black males are targeted. They it's just no way around it. Okay, police officers can disagree, whatever the case may be. When you look at the laws that's in place, when you look at the state laws, when you look at overall education, when you look at the school to prison pipeline, when you look at every little small entity that leads back to trying to better our community, is not there for us. And the police is a big entity of it, because that's what we see the most of it in school. I'll say this and try not to be biased. It's a very broken system where generations of hate is being filtered, even down to our children. When our children grow up, they're still going to have racist cops, corrupted people, and generations of trying to stop and destroy the Black community. And that is the honesty behind it. That being a Black man and having a badge, I'm torn, because is this the country that I'm protecting? When I go to war and I leave my family for, months at a time, or even a year, and I'm putting my life on the line, I've been shot at, blown up at, and I come back home and I'm a target.
Yeah.
You guys' husbands, sons, nephews, cousins, loved ones, friends are targeted. And you have police force where, they're ignorant to the fact that they don't want to change. Then you have media presenting the Black man in a negative light. It's being brainwashed and pumped into, white males and white women that Black men are just all bad and evil. When that's not the case. Look what happened at the state park, with Central Park in New York, right? She knew exactly what she was doing by calling law enforcement and saying that a Black guy was assaulting her or threatening her. That was the word she used, threatening. Thanks for technology, because if this was 20, 30 years ago, that Black man could have been shot.
Yeah.
Or he could have been in jail for a very, very long time for a crime he did not commit. And she was the one in the wrong. When all she had to do was put a leash on her dogs.
We can even say 10 years ago, you know.
Right, even 10 years ago, right? You know, I mean, our culture, our generation is the ones who introduced the cell phones and cameras. If this was 2000, 2001, where there was no cameras on the phones, we'd be in a world of trouble right now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Well, actually, it's going to be a segue into our fixes, because that's kind of what we had started on it at one point in time, talking about you need to know your state laws, your local laws, get involved in your city know your city councilmen, your county members, the captains, the precinct members, education, all of those things as part of fixes to this problem. So, I mean, I think in our generation, we're probably not going to be able to fix police corruption, because it's kind of like you just said, it's kind of built on that. So we can't fix that.
We got 40 years.
Huh?
We got 40 years. We
can we can try. We can try. So there were some fixes that we kind of discussed, because I will say I am very happy with a lot of the responses to the tragedy that was the murder of George Floyd. I like a lot of the things that I am seeing in response to this. I think that people are now, realizing, but they're seeing that aren't separate communities anymore. All communities now are global communities. And so when something happens in one location, it becomes everybody's problem. I saw yesterday, and I haven't checked today, but yesterday CNN was reporting that 20 cities that didn't have anything to do with that state were protesting, and not just for Floyd, but for the deaths of African American men and women in the United States. There's protests happening in Greece. There's protests happening in London. There's protests happening in Canada. There is a slew of protests getting ready to go on in Germany. So what other things, and this is everybody's answer, not just Mr. Police, what are some other things, some other fixes that we should be doing to try to rectify this problem? Not just the police problem, but also the mix of racism, the obvious racism in the police force. You know, I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't think you're going to fix racism in the police force unless you got some kind of racism radar while they fill out the application.
I agree.
Unless you rode up here with a Confederate flag on your truck, I could probably ask you 3 or 4 questions and see whether or not you're racist. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that is a far reach of how to fix that. But what is y'all input? What do you think that we could be doing? Because I had a dear friend of mine, Shane, called me from Italy yesterday, day before yesterday, and we talked for 2 hours. And he was like, Dizzy, what can I do? And he's white male, about to be 40, well, 40s, white male. He's like, what can I do to help? And I'm just like, I wish I had the answer for you. The only answer I could give him was, I need you to continue being you and keep making your voice and your views heard on this subject. Because in my opinion, their voices hold more weight than ours. As much as we don't want to believe it, but that's what I believe. The more they are upset, the more they are vocal, the more they are standing with us in these protests and so on, somebody somewhere is going to do something to be like, all right, wait a minute, the white people are mad now. We do something. Because that's the way it happened. That's what I have seen it to happen. So input, insight, yay, nay, wrong, right, indifferent, go.
I see exactly what you're saying. And just as you said, it's sad that it's come to a point where you have to look at, okay, if they are upset and if they are mad, okay, we might need to change some things because this might be a problem. Well, it's not that it might be a problem, it's been a problem, and no one's addressed it to this point. It's like we've been talking to the brick wall, and now our allies are finally helping us bust through the brick wall that we haven't seemed to be able to penetrate. And to try and find a solution, like how you told your friend, continue to use your voice. I've seen.
Did y'all leave the house?
A lot more of my white friends speaking up now, and I anytime I thank them and I appreciate it, because I'm like, a lot of y'all, we were friends growing up, and y'all didn't know some of the shit we had to deal with. You know, or workers looking at us crazy, or you know, the teacher being really, really, really hard on us, but you know, oh, he's just being a boy, to, you know, the white little boy that did the exact same thing that, you know, Devontae over here did, you know, 30 minutes ago. It's like, well, why did Devontae get sent to the principal's office and you, Jonathan, sit right here in the class, and you was like, Jonathan, don't do that again. Wait, treat him the same way or whatever. But all I can say is reach out into your community, try and be more of a face and a voice, so that they can see you and that you're heard. It's kind of hard for some, because it's like, okay, I don't want to cross too many lines and it affect my job to where I may lose it because they've seen my face and I'm not supposed to, you know, deal with politics, or I'm not supposed to be out here protesting and stuff like that. But then on the other side, you're like, okay, you know, some of this protesting is going left quick, where they start vandalizing, or whoever is out there, whether it's Black Lives Matter protesters or, you know, those little people that are kind of squeezing in, trying to stir up dissension, you know, either way, it's like, okay, I don't know how far left this protest is gonna go. It could end up in like New York, where people are just standing behind the barricades and, you know, we're just chanting and trying to let our voices be heard. And then you got a cop car that comes and runs into the barricade and pushes everybody back. So it's like, okay, now I got to go to the hospital. I'm hurt, or I could have gotten killed. And now my kids have no mother. So it's like, what? It's hard to try and figure out what exactly you can do without crossing a line, or without possibly putting yourself in harm's way. But it's like, things like this are necessary, because the civil rights was ugly. It wasn't pretty. You know, the watered down version that they teach us in schools, like, oh, they just wanted equality. They just wanted to sit in the front of the bus. No, them motherfuckers hose us down with water hoses, and they sick dogs on us. All we were doing was sitting at the counter, sitting at the lunch, because we wanted to eat. And swap out, because the person sat behind us to kind of keep the protest going. But at what point do you look at it and it's like, is it worth it anymore? Or then at the same time, it's like, what do I teach my kids? Do we all have to have that conversation with them? It's like, hey, if you see an officer, it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Keep your hands out of your pocket. No back talk. You know, I shouldn't have to go that deep into a conversation with my kids to where now they're afraid to go outside and play because they think some cop that's riding through the neighborhood may snatch them up and throw them in the back of the car, or even worse, kill them.
I totally understand.
it's hard, and for mothers of Black boys who, you know, are so cute and so innocent, and then one day that innocence is gone, and it's now America looks at you as a threat. You're not cute to them anymore. Now, you know, you can't wear a hoodie and go to the store late at night because somebody's gonna call the cops on you, and you might not get to come back home. I can't fathom trying to explain that to my sons. It's hard.
And I'm sorry. I know exactly how you feel, because my wife shed tears over a lot. You know, as I said, I have three sons, and two of them, you know, are 16 and 12, and my 16-year-old is, every time he steps out that door, me and my wife worry, because he reminds me so much of myself back in the day. As you know, I'm invincible. You know, he's taller than the average man, and I had to sit down and talk to him and tell him damn near the same thing you just said when you're dealing with a police officer. I was like, as far as the no sirs and yes sirs, I was like, I told me, I'm like, no. I was like, you respect people, but at the same time, you know, respect has to be given too. That's why his first thing is to call me first, because he is a minor. What I did when we switched schools, I found out who was the officer over the school. And it's crazy how the story turns out. When I found out who the officer was and I walked up on him, he was a sheriff deputy, and him and I was cops together in the Air Force. And his first words to me was like, "This is your son now?" Wow, I haven't seen my man in about 7, 8 years. And it was just ironically that he is the presiding officer over that high school. And for me, it gave me a sense of relief, because, and he's a white man, but I know him behind the scenes. And he was always fair, and he was always, you know, unbiased with all people. So it gave me a sense of, you know, some comfort, not all, but some, that if my son was to get in any type of altercation in school, that he know who his father is, and that he will be treated accordingly like everybody else would, and get a fair shake. But I have had that same conversation you had, or that you're going to have with your especially male child, and it's tough. And the reality is, the society that we live in is that you want to tell your babies how to make it home.
Right.
You know, and as mothers, I can only, you know, because I'm a father, but I'm not a mother. You guys are nurturers, and I'm not. I'm a provider. I'm a protector by nature. So my heart really goes out to you guys when these incidents happen. And, you know, George called for his mother, and she wasn't there to protect him because she's already dead and gone. That's what bothered me the most. You know, that's why I had to put it on mute. When he's telling him he can't breathe, and that could have been any of our sons. You know, no one is susceptible to, you know, or invincible to these type of incidents. Is it a hard conversation, Candice? Yes. Is it the reality of what's going on? Yes. Cabana, as Black men, you know, I feel, is that what you're saying? Why do I have to dumb down or tone down myself to make an officer feel safe? No, your job as an officer is to make me feel safe. But as Black men, we're not put in that position, man. I wish I had a better answer for you. But, you know, as a brother, if you know, need advice, or, you know, something, you know, go down, you can always, you know, give me a call. It's just that when me and you step outside these doors, people don't have our best interests. And that's just the reality of things. And I'm not going to ask tone down who you are. I'm just going to ask you to be smarter than them. That is it. And keep your answers short and to the point. What do you want? Why are you here? What's going on? Okay, am I being charged or arrested? If they say no, then officer, have a nice day. However you want to put it, kick rocks, the whole nine, doesn't matter. Because that officer's if words affect them, then they're in the wrong job.
Right.
I've been called many of things. I'll give you an instance. I was really trying to help this lady out. She called me everything underneath the sun. She called me one of them. She brought out her camera, started recording me. I said, that's fine. But in the back of my mind, I understood. The other part of me was like, lady, do you not see I'm trying to help you? But you broke the law.
Right.
I still have a job to do. I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm not going to be over aggressive. But you broke the law. So, but in the back of my mind, I understand why she was so enraged, dealing with police officers, because she probably had bad incidents. And when her husband arrived on the scene, him and I talked, and I got some background info about her, and come to find out that was true. She was treated badly by police officers in the past.
Mm.
And, I told him, I was like, look, my guys are very professional, but she still broke the law. We're still going to arrest her. This is the precinct that we're sending her to. You'll get more information when you get down there. But her safety is in my hands, and I will make sure she'll be treated accordingly. Not all police officers are going to do that.
And
Okay.
This 16 years of experience talking.
right.
Now I'm not negating from what that, and I have to be very honest about that. And if other police officers want to feel some type of way, that's fine. That piece of shit officer that put his knee on his neck, that had 18 years underneath his belt, and not only did you piss it all down the drain and you disrespected the badge, you disrespected everyone in the United States because you put this country in an uproar for your own personal gain. You enjoyed being superior over George, and you wind up killing him.
Yeah.
And I cannot condone that.
No.
I can't say I have a remedy for it, guys. I can't say, we can always quarterback Monday. I can only tell you this. The tactics that he used is not taught nowhere. The tactics that he used,
You can't change people's heart.
Right, was very unprofessional.
You can't change people's heart. There's no amount of training in the world that you can give someone that's going to change what's ingrained in their heart. And so and here's my thing. I haven't done the research, so, tear me up in the comments later, but I can't even sit here and say you killed this man because you was Black. I can say you killed this man because your ass wanted to kill. You could have just wanted to kill, regardless of the color of his skin, regardless if they were Black, white, Chinese, Asian, whatever. You could have just wanted to kill someone. And George happened to be it that day.
Look, exactly.
It could have been. I mean, again, there could be several other facts that could come out that could say, oh yeah, he was at this KKK rally. Well, okay. Well, then that adds more fuel to the fire. But you could just be a killer. And that is what it is. Candice, I'm going to tell you.
About it is?
Candice, I'm gonna tell you, hun, I feel every tear that you just dropped. And I'm going to tell you what.
Yes.
You guys have got to know, look, I ain't no thug, but I'm not a crier. I'm not the most emotional,
Me neither.
in tune person on the planet. I'm like, let's get the shit done. Let's keep it moving. But I have cried more this week than I have in a really long time. Because I could not believe what the hell happened to Ahmaud. I could not believe it, but I don't know why I couldn't believe it, because I live right around the corner from a city that does this shit.
Yeah.
I live right by Pocosin. This shit used to happen in Pocosin on a regular. There's Confederate flags all up and down streets in Pocosin. I know this has happened before near me. I was then, of course, add a little more fuel to the fire, watching the case in New York. I was like, you were being recorded and you still maliciously intended, oh, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to say this, and then did it and threw on the victim voice. And you almost killed your dog in the process.
Yeah.
Just
Convict.
target this man, this Black man.
Yeah.
And so then for me, and my husband told me about this video first. And typically, I don't like to watch deaths. I don't like to watch fighting online. I don't like that stuff. World Star, y'all can have that. I don't even like to watch that shit. My husband said, no, there's some shit about to pop off. You need to watch this. And what hurt me, I mean, obviously, someone losing a life, that's fucked up. What hurt me more than anything is that man on that ground was not very different from the size of my husband. As well as when they kill Eric Garner. Not far from the size of my husband. And I see his face when I see these videos. And I know, and I know how other people can view him by not knowing him. Yeah. I know. But I know who he is, and I'm sure that family knows too. And it's like, how do I prepare you? My own husband, who's not even from this country, how do I prepare you for this? And he doesn't have the ingrained slave mentality that a lot of our African-American men have, African-Americans, period. There is a level of slave mentality that is still here. It's still here. And he has none of that, because he's like, hold on, bruh. You can't call me the N-word. You can't call me that. I've never been a slave. My husband will tell, my people have never been a slave. So I cannot. He'll tell me, oh, if they did this, that to me, I would this, that, and the third. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't make it that far. I have to tell my husband that. You won't make it that far if you encounter that particular type of cop, because his best friend is a cop. But if you encounter the wrong one, baby, you're not gonna make it back to me. I know it. I know it. And Candice, I'm telling you, the hardest conversation is that one you're gonna have to have with your son, because I had to rehab it Saturday. Because he came and he was like, Mom, what is going on with you? What's wrong with you? He noticed something was wrong with me, because I was a little too huggy, little too clingy to him and my husband. And I'm not that person either. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, get off me, leave me alone. You know, y'all heard me fuss at them in the background, but I don't want to let them go because I'm seeing this happen. And again, I am very aware it's not every cop. I know that. But it sure as hell makes you scared when you see those lights. It's scary. It is scary. Kavana, Kela.
Kavana, did you have something you wanted to say?
Can you,
Mm-mm.
can you
Try again.
Okay, hold on.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, babe.
You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something real quick. Hopefully, guys out there, Zoom won't let me be great, but it's gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this. The one thing I want to share, even like with Zoom breaking down, the one thing about my personality is that you have to push through, never give up. I want to thank the officer for sharing, because you have kind of basically made up my mind. Yesterday, I said to myself, from the grave, I hear the tears of my ancestors saying enough. I felt like when the tear and the breath of that man body said, I can't breathe, came out of his mouth, every slave that could be thought about said enough. I thought about when Christ was carrying the cross and he had to bear the sins for everybody. And God was looking at his son about to take that last breath, and he said, enough, because all hell broke loose after he took his last breath. After that man took his last breath, all hell broke loose. I realized that we cannot ever stop pushing, because as long as we have young Black girls and boys, we have to be the warrior for them. And fear is what's gripping us the most. Fear is what's stopping us the most, because just like my sister Candice said, Selma, dogs, being burnt up, persecuted, so much violence, but we are afraid to suffer because you know what? We don't want to go through. But I thought about the church suffered violence, but the violence take by force. Us vocally as possible to give as much energy to the world and not let go. I think about it as being a nag, being worrisome, being to the point, when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that just keeps calling and calling until you pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. We have to be that until they pick up the phone. We have to be that until they step up to the plate and open the door. Because the times that we let go of calling the person over and over again, we lose again. And what sucks the most, because I'm so hurt, what sucks the most is that we have to do it. Not that we want to do it. Who wants to get up every day and fight for yourself? But I'm speaking to somebody, and I'm speaking to myself. We can no longer be afraid to and blow up and I'm seeing. Go study your history, because Selma is now and not later. It has come again. It's here right now, and whether we want to, we're have to deal with it. And somebody listen to me, and you got that voice inside of you, and you're the Rosa Parks, and you're the next Malcolm X, and you're the next to you. Do what he said. For one thing, do it daily. Artists, Nina Simone said, artists are supposed to reflect the time. Single day to push the message that Black Lives Matter.
Damn it.
I can take over from there because I got some action items.
Okay.
Teacher, preacher, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went out for a little bit, babe.
Hear me?
A little bit.
We're gonna
I'm
get you
so
out.
sorry. It won't make me, but just know this. Don't
Give me his damn phone.
bring time.
We're gonna
As
get you
long as
out.
we don't get in during this.
We not giving in.
No,
We not giving in.
tell you this from my point of view, and I gotta get my son because they got curfew in the city.
Okay.
Don't you? I mean, for everybody in here, don't you ever give up, because I don't. I know I'm one person, but I try to make a change every day. Every day I put that uniform on, lace them boots, and I try to give back as much as I can. It's going to take more than just me, but like I always tell people all the time, when you throw enough rocks into a lake or ocean, it's going to have ripples, and it's going to touch somebody. Don't forget what I told y'all about us city councilmen and knowing your police officers, knowing your captain. Those hard conversations with your son, please have them, because I want to see your son make it back to you. Everything Kamana was saying was right on. And, Dizzy, she knows. I've dealt with law enforcement on a good end, and I dealt with law enforcement on a bad end before I came in and became a police officer. I was on the other side, with the handcuffs. I was on the other side getting treated a certain way. I was on the other side being considered less than because of the color of my skin and thought of as a threat. I know how it feels. And I ain't even break no laws. And I never forgot that. That's one of the things that drives me to be a police officer, is to help people. And I have a son. That's one of the main reasons why, too. As a Black man and as a father, my heart is with you mothers, to my Black women. Love up on them, teach them right from wrong, and that's going to help out so much. And it's going to bring less of a probability of dealing with police officers if they're doing the right thing. Because there are times where you're doing the right things and bad things happen. That is true. I hope what I've shared with you guys has helped. If you have any type of extra questions or behind the scenes, I have no problems answering those and point you guys in the right direction. Because I don't have all the answers, but I know people who do, especially from the civilian side.
I appreciate you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank
I
you.
Thank you so much.
I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I really protect y'all because I care. And for anybody who don't care, don't matter if you're Black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian, I don't rock with you. I don't. And I'm tired of seeing my kind treated a certain way compared to everybody else, including me. I'm tired of it. I'm tired with y'all. And I mean from bottom of my heart, I voice it all the time, behind the scenes, in the meetings, talking to colonels, generals. I voice it a lot. My commander's about to, he's about to hear me now because he just sent me a long message about what's been going on the last couple of days. And he know that this affects me. Man, I'm just sorry that this happens. I really am. And Dizzy and Cabana, y'all know who I am. If y'all need something, don't be afraid. Cool Candice, Mahogany, same thing. If y'all need something, a question, point in the right path, I'll do the best that I can.
We'll be sure to connect. I'll make sure that happens.
I appreciate y'all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, police.
Have a good day.
Hey,
Love you. Thank you so much.
don't stop being who you are. Nobody.
We won't. Be safe, man.
Please stay safe.
All right.
Bye.
Let me fix him really quick because he's out now. So, all right, go ahead. All right, go ahead, Kela.
So this I know we wanted to come with some action items, and so I will read some of them that I've thought about. So one thing, I think we need to stop incentivizing the wrong behavior. So, and this will be on the side of the police. They need to stop incentivizing bad behavior within their own group. They have to better, sort through the people who are doing the wrong thing and the people who are doing the right thing. But I think, money has to be taken out of that, organization. And that's one of the things. So get involved with your community, so that you can know where the money is going from the budget, from your taxes that you're paying, in your city. Attend those meetings, know where the money is going, know how the police are using that money, because if we're not doing the right things with it, if you take away their money, they will snap out. they'll have to change. If they want things, going to want the money, they have to make the changes that the people want them to make. So be a voice. I don't know how this happens, but can we please demilitarize our police? Can our military stop selling the overstock that they have to the police departments, so that when they show up to what's supposed to be a peaceful protest, looking as if they're in Iraq or Afghanistan, that's you're up against these kids, because there are kids out there with full military gear, tanks out there. What is going on? We need to demilitarize our police. Follow Tamika Mallory. She has a lot of great information on how to take action. She's boots on the ground all across the country. She's not just in one place, but she goes to these protests, she speaks, she's doing the work, and she will know where you can donate, where you can, if there's a protest, she has the information. I think police from the particular community, there needs to be more of those things going on, not outside people coming into communities, policing them, and then going somewhere else. No, the police needs to come from the community. And that's also when we get involved in our local communities, we can start affecting the change, because the voices right now are putting the rules on your life. So you be a voice for the people who may not have a voice in your city, to get more things done that are in your best interest. Because right now we're relying on people that we don't know to have our best interests at heart, and at the local level. And so that will then, once we know more what's going on in our own cities, and we start changing city by city, it's eventually going to be a whole change for the whole country. Mm-hmm. Oh, one last thing. This is something that I really want to get into now. Like, this is what all of this has sparked in me to let people know to register to get it done. Register. Even if you don't get one. Just like you have a license to drive and you may not have a car, go ahead and get you registered to be able to exercise your Second Amendment right, if that is what is going on in your particular city and state, because they are armed up. They are armed up. And I'm not, I just do that. Because maybe if a lot of Black people start, it gets in the millions, that, a million people, 2 million, 5 million, 9 million people, Black people have guns, have the legal right to own a gun. Maybe we should start changing some of these gun laws. Maybe we should look at this. So if that is the positive outcome of all of us exercising our Second Amendment right, I'm all for it.
Okay. I agree.
And this is my opinion. It's not the opinion of what you've got to say, just to...
You are silly. But I think that at least we brought some stuff to the table. I definitely loved the input that he gave. I actually am active in quite a few of these organizations already, just because of the job that I have. And maybe that's the reason why I don't really have any issues with cops. When I was younger, I sure as hell did. Same area code. But now I'm not so much. I just wanted to kind of end this on a quote that somebody is I'm actually quoting someone that was on Facebook, because I just felt that what they said was strong. Before I get into it though, I do want to touch really quick on people's comments about the protests / the riots and what have you.
The rebellion.
The rebellion, right. I am not anti-protest. I am even going to tell you I'm probably not anti-riot. I spoke with a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, you know, this uprising is because of a lot of layers of shit on us. And I think that what has made this blow up, and my husband actually told me this, and I agree, what has made this blow up bigger than it has on any other death of our people, the requirement for people to stay at home, reset, and become in touch with their humanity again. To be told that you are not immortal. There are millions of folks who have died from a virus that we cannot control. So you have been at home getting in touch with yourself, your God, trying to get in contact, to stay in contact with your friends, your family. So everyone's humanity reset button has kind of, that button's been reset since March.
Yeah.
And so to see something at such a high level of disrespect to a human, period, is what set it off.
Yeah.
Because had we been in the same rhythm that we were in January, that we were in February, we would not see these protests. Because we would have said, damn, that's messed up. Got to go to work tomorrow. Right now, you ain't got to go to work.
Yep.
And you got 40 million people on unemployment.
Yep.
Ain't nothing else to do but to go out there and riot.
But that definitely shows that this is why we can't move things, because they keep us so busy in the workroom.
Yep.
True. So this is the quote that I saw. This is from a friend of mine, actually. Her name is Chanel Cooper, okay? For years, we as Black people have tried. We tried financial and social independence. Black Wall Street, Black Panthers, Nation of Islam. We tried peaceful protest. Martin Luther King kneeling during the national anthem, the civil rights movement. Hell, we even tried staying in our place during segregation and the Jim Crow laws. We tried educating ourselves, rising up, voting, and making political changes, which led to Obama. And no matter what, we are still hunted, we are still murdered, we are still castrated. No matter what, we still have to scream that our lives matter. Yet we have to keep trying to come up with a plan. But in the meantime, until shit really changes, and until we as a people are heard, pure rage is probably what you're gonna get. And I had to ask her, could I use that? Because I think people are tired. I am not advocating violence. I'm not advocating that you go out and shoot everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying after a while,
you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right. And it takes a reaction.
The last nerve.
Huh? That
last nerve that we all talk about.
That last one. Right. Right. Exactly. And I it's funny. I don't know which one of y'all. I was talking to one of y'all the other day, and I said, you know what? To all of the folks who are saying it doesn't have to be like this. We don't have to protest like this. It doesn't have to be like this. I said, I'm gonna give you a little lesson from a Black mom or Black woman, but I'm gonna say Black mom because we do it more, I think. If a Black mom tells you, hey, can you pick that up off the floor? And then you don't do it. You say, hey, can you pick that up off the floor? And you don't do it. Now we got to yell. Can you pick that goddamn thing off the floor?
I done asked you.
I didn't ask you, right? Right? But when we jump up and we screaming and we yelling and we done thrown something and all of that, then all of a sudden, we're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We're violent. What is your problem? My problem
Why
is
so angry?
you didn't hear me say my life mattered
Mm-hmm.
when I said it like this.
Yeah.
That's my problem. You didn't hear me when I said it like this. No. This is not going to be the last episode we talk about this because we definitely have more things to unpack. But I really appreciate you guys being so transparent in this. I appreciate you being so real with the questions that you asked, Mr. Police, here. I believe he gave us some good insight and some takeaways to be able to try to utilize. Are we going to save the world in a day? No. But hopefully the people who watch it get answers to something. Maybe something helped them, even if it was something as simple as seeing the transparency that is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love y'all.
I love you too. Love y'all.
All right. Till next time, y'all.